Welcome to our council meeting of Monday, September 8th, 2025. I'm Mitchell Brownstein, the mayor. I have with me Councillor Leo Azarad, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Mitch Kajafsky, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Stephen Erdely. We have our city manager, Jonathan Schechter, and Councillor Mike Cohen. So welcome. I'm glad you're all here today. We're going to start the meeting, first of all, with a moment of silence, but first I'm going to read a statement. The city of Côte Saint-Luc is devastated to learn of today's terror attacks in Jerusalem, which claimed the lives of 6 innocent people and injured many more. This was a deliberate act targeting civilians going about their daily lives. We extend our deepest condolences to the families of the victims and to all those affected by the senseless act of violence. We'll have a moment of silence. Then I'm going to ask Councillor Cohen to adopt the agenda.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? The agenda is so adopted. And now we're going to have our land acknowledgement and the rules for question period. Well, until that starts, I'll just say that on Thursday, the play My Fair Zadie opens at the Howard Greenspun Auditorium. It runs from Thursday until Sunday, almost sold out, but there still are some tickets. I have a cameo there. I'm not going to give it away, but it's Ari Sterling, who writes beautiful shows, and Anissa Cameron, our artistic director with Sam Stein, the director of this show, have put on something special that will give you all a lot of laughs for sure. So hopefully you can come and see My Fair Zadie, which I guess you could figure which play that's a takeoff.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Chokshage. It was a historic gathering place for many indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. We must acknowledge the past, so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc permet au public de poser des questions lors de ces séances du conseil, en français ou en anglais. Veuillez lire les procédures et les règles de la période de questions à l'arrière de la salle. Enfin, il est interdit d'utiliser un langage violent, offensant ou irrespectueux pour poser une question au maire.
The Côte Saint-Luc City Council allows the public to ask questions at its council meetings, in French or English. Please read the question period procedure and rules at the back of the room or at côtesaintluc.org. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
And our first question is Alan J. Levine. I want to remind everybody that the question is for 3 minutes, is the limit, and if the question covers a topic that you've already come for, please let us know, because we're not going to keep on having, we're going to try to give complete answers and not repeat questions on the same topic. Councillor Levine.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Councillor Levine.
Okay, so actually, I have a concern, and my concern is about the snow blowers, the number of snow blowers you had last year, and the number of snow blowers you are going to acquire or had this year. Are they new or they what? Because the city, as I read from the minutes here, that you are moving away from contract snow removal and you're moving toward in-house. And if you're moving toward in-house, I want to know, number one, the number of snow blowers, and do you have a plan B? Because if you're moving in-house and you have some sort of a contract dispute, that's going to make it very difficult for people in the city. So I want to know about the snow blowers, and I want to know about your plan B if you have some sort of a work stoppage, because they have you by the short and curlies if they're doing the whole job.
Okay, I'm going to give it to our Minister of Finance, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good to see you, former Councillor Levine.
Good to see you, Councillor Erdely.
I'm just trying to see the number here. So right now, the city has about 5 or 6 snow blowers. The majority of the city, I'll just share for the residents, is done by city workers. So up until this season, we've had 3 contracts that were done outside. The contracts were the main streets. So for example, Cavendish, Kildare, Mackle, Westminster, so let's say Fleet, those were done by one contractor. We did have a second contract that was done a small area, mostly I would say District 8, a little bit of District 6 and District 7 as well. So that was the second one. And a third one, which is the dead-end streets, which is the cul-de-sacs. So what the city will be doing, and we'll talk a bit further about this when we get to, I believe it's item 11, we're maintaining the 2 contracts, the first and the third. So the main streets will continue to be done outsourced. So those, again, are Mackle, Kildare, Cavendish, Westminster, and so on, and Côte Saint-Luc Road. So those will continue to be contracted out. The dead ends will continue to be contracted out because to do a dead end, it's actually a bit more complicated. The city doesn't have the equipment to do that. So the only change which we'll be doing tonight is one area, which again is mostly District 8, so Councillor Schuster's district, a little bit of District 6 and 7, so that it will be done in-house. So that is really the only shift. Now, in terms of right now, I would say, and I'm happy to say we generally have good relations with our public works employees. So I think I don't want to say it's not possible, but I think the chances are we'll continue and have good negotiations, and I wouldn't be worried about that right now.
But am I wrong in assuming that it was 50-50 and now it's 25-75?
So just to be clear, it's the only change since when you were a councillor is basically, which is what's coming into effect today, is with that one area, what was originally called the secondary or the second contract. So that is the only change that we've done, but the main streets are still the main streets. I mean, there's been maybe little shifts here and there throughout the years, but very minor. So I would say no significant changes. And I'll just mention to do the extra area, as we're piloting it, so this year it's a pilot program, the city is renting a snowblower. So we're renting.
How many are you renting? That's what my
So we're
question
renting
was.
one additional snowblower. So we
Just
have,
one additional snowblower
so the way it works, so
for
I'll give-
25% more work.
So again, it's not 25% more. So what we have, so I'll give a simple example. So my district, District 4, is done by one snowblower. So there's one snowblower that does District 3, for example, that does Councillor Burkou's district. So it's basically one additional snowblower that the city is renting as a pilot project for the year, and we'll have more to report.
Is it a new snowblower or a used snowblower?
That I don't have the answer to right now. But I can tell you we're renting a snowblower for that additional district as a pilot program. Thank you.
And, thanks a lot.
Point of order,
Go ahead.
Councillor Erdely. Essential services, no labor dispute can cease the snow removal process, what the note that we just got.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. And last year when we had some problems with our contractors and lots of snow, our in-house staff pulled up the slack and took care of all the problems. Not perfectly, but we certainly got one side of the road cleared quickly when there was a lot of snow last year. So we're going to move on to Henry Diamond. Kenny, yeah, oh, I can't read it. Okay, here, Kenny Diamond, I know Kenny. Hey, Kenny Diamond.
You can read, he can't write.
Okay. Kenny Diamond,
They make a great comment.
welcome.
Hi, I'm here representing the Côte Saint-Luc Tennis Club. I've been a member there since 1977, and obviously everyone knows that about this asbestos problem that we're having. Our concern, and what I'm getting from a lot of the members, first and foremost, is that the club will never open again. That's the biggest concern. I mean, I know you have an ongoing problem now, and you're looking with different companies, but I'd like reassurance that the club will open again. I don't know what the plan for the future is, but right now, this is a lot of people, and this is a lot of the rhetoric that's going around about the club.
Okay.
And that's one area. And the second area is, why isn't the club open now? That's, you know, I'm sorry, I came in my tennis clothes because I played at Hampstead tonight.
I'm glad you got some time.
Yeah, there's certain times, they're not very generous with us at all, because when Hampstead closed for a year, Côte Saint-Luc was willing to open up the club to Hampstead. We allowed their pro to be, we gave them full carte blanche. We let their interclub play at our club. We invited them to that, and what they've given us is Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, Saturday and Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m., and on Friday night, which is, you know, a lot of people, no one plays tennis on Friday night. It's usually a family night. They gave us from 6 to 9 o'clock. So I don't understand why we couldn't get a better arrangement out of them, but.
I wish. Yeah, well, that's.
But we were, no, as a community, we were fantastic with them.
Right.
And it's just not right that it doesn't reciprocate, but that's the way it is. So.
Okay, I'll answer your question. So that.
And you know, there's been a lot of emails I'm sure people in the city have got, and one of the things a lot of members, they're not getting their exercise now. And what's really important with everyone is I can't understand why the club is closed when one court out of 9 was on there, and probably, to me, the reason a lot of the other clubs all tested well. We lost our water, broke. Now, to me, if you're maintaining a property, you're maintaining a building, you have a leaky roof, you change your roof, right? And here, they never changed the watering system, and we've been using literally a hose that was there. Does that mean something? Time's up, or?
Yeah, time's up. But like, I got your 3 questions, and I think I understand what you're asking. So the first question is that, yes, we're definitely going to open, and we're not planning to close the club. We want to improve our tennis facilities, so that's for sure. Number 2 question on why it's closed, I'm going to let staff speak to that, but I first want to let you know that if it was up to me as mayor, I'd have it open tomorrow. My hands are tied by staff, by the SNEST, by the provincial rules. I'd open it up tomorrow. I don't like that it's closed, but I don't control everything, unfortunately. Some people it up tomorrow. I don't like that it's closed, but I don't control everything, unfortunately. Some people.
To speak to club members, to brainstorm, and to look towards the future.
tennis
I was a
club.
kid playing there. My dad was a member.
Yeah,
I loved it.
it's the only club that's broken into 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 and 1.
Yeah,
No other, I played at Hampstead, and if you're on court 3, you get the balls from everywhere coming in. There's no decorum, they walk on the court.
We don't want to close tennis. We want to improve. We don't want to close everything.
So
Listen,
you have a gem,
I do. And I want to make it very
but
clear.
there's been no maintenance, nothing there for the last number of years. That's the only, and you could turn that club into a first-class club in the city, and you'll get people. You know the movie Field of Dreams. Build it and they'll come.
That is our intention. Our
Okay.
intention is to improve, not to close.
Okay.
But why we're closed now, I'll let staff answer.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening, John.
So I wanted to start off by maybe giving a little context to an answer because I've spoken to another club member and, we've been dialoguing with the club to really get their concerns and to really get a feel for your first question. One of the concerns was that there was a relationship between the current closure and the city's potential future plans for the club. And I can emphatically state that they are not related, that the only reason we closed was due to, for lack of a better term, for safety / scientific concerns based on the testing that we did. And it had nothing to do with the future of the club. So if we can parse this out to get to your next question as to why we closed, when the story broke out from Saint-Sever and when there were certain concerns that started to proliferate, because there were clubs in Saint-Sever that closed,
Yes.
there were clubs in Montreal that closed, in the boroughs within Montreal that closed. The city, like many of the other cities and on the island, tested to see whether their clay contained any traces of asbestos that was above the norm. In Quebec, the norm is 0.1%. So we went through a first series of tests that said that the norm was less than 1%, but could not confirm how much less. The recommendation from those experts was to close all the courts because they stated that because one was contaminated, there was an assumption, and these are the experts that we went to who did the test, that the rest of the courts needed to remain closed. We then went for a second opinion and a second series of tests where the test came back similar, and we got an identical recommendation. So now we're at a process because we understand the members' concerns, not only the long-term concerns, but the short-term concerns. The one you cited, exercise, the ability to play, the fact that Hampstead may have restricted hours. And so we've really pushed our knowledge here to see what we can do. And now we're at a point where we've done a third test, which we feel is more specific. And without getting into all the logistics, because it was very hard to coordinate, we're at the tail end waiting for the results. And those results should be coming within the coming days. We're hopeful that by Friday we will have results. We can't predict what those results are. But if those results come back, allowing us to reopen the courts, we will do so. And we're looking to extending the time period in the season, weather permitting, to allow you to play longer.
Why would the results change on the third?
Excellent question. So without getting into all the science,
Yeah.
these results are more specific. And what they will do is they will look at more exact percentages, and also they will look at the fibers or the material being analyzed, and will look at exactly what it contains.
Okay, but would you say that the lack of watering, the breakdown of the watering system is a main reason that the courts, because the last day I played, the courts were watered, and 20 minutes later, it was a total dust bowl.
So
And we, to the point that everyone's breathing it in.
right. And
Thank God I wasn't on court 4.
I understand. So we asked that question because several of our members asked the question. We asked the question to ourselves internally, and we went to the experts and we posed it, and we got a written answer back that watering did not have an impact on the results. So hopefully with this more precise test, we'll get the results that we hope to get. We can't predict and we don't know. But if we get the results that we hope to get, then we will reopen the court.
And what happens if you don't get the right results? You dig up the court?
Could you explain about the SNES? You haven't spoken about the SNES rules and why the workers can't work.
Yeah, no, that's true. So It wasn't necessarily contained within your question, but it is a valid point that the mayor is raising.
But no, you don't need to read all the details, but you can explain in general why
Sure.
employees
Yeah.
can't work.
Of course. So when we got these results and when this whole thing broke out, our city is very, let's just say, we're very concerned and we're very connected, as we were during COVID when there were health concerns. So we reached out to any possible expert that could help us, whether it was Santé Québec, whether it was the ECC in Canada, the Environment and Climate Change of Canada, whether it was the SNEST, which is the Health and Safety Workers Board. And in their view, our employees, once these tests came in, were not legally allowed to manipulate the product in any way. So that was another additional factor that led us to close, because we got their recommendation as well. So that's why we're hopeful that these tests will come back and that they will.
Is there a hazard to the neighbors, to the neighbors in the area from the contamination of the one court?
So we didn't get into exactly the extent, but it was a question that I received.
And the vegetable garden?
Right, as to how far this spreads. And the recommendation did not go there. The recommendation talked about closing the courts themselves.
Okay. Well,
Okay, well, the goal is to
but the
open
important
them.
thing is
The
that
goal
you.
is to open them, the goal is never to close them, the goal is to renovate them and improve them, and the goal is to continue to have tennis and make Côte Saint-Luc what we always, the happiest place to live because of all the things we do, including tennis, wiffle ball, pickleball, baseball, and everything else. So,
No,
yeah,
no,
we're not closing
it's
anything down.
the nicest time of the year, that's the
Yeah, I know.
problem.
So hopefully it's going to be a negative result, which would be a positive result for us when
Yeah.
we'll reopen.
No, I understand your liability on your side, but your employees and so on and so forth, but if the members agreed to sign a waiver,
I wish, but.
I would sign a waiver, I've been playing there, as I said, since '77, and.
He explained already that we have the SNEST problem with the workers and the
Yeah.
provincial rules. So,
Okay. That's my
Thank you very
question.
much.
Thank you.
thank
No
you.
worries. Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It was a perfect timing. Timing was perfect.
Let's hope. We want to extend the season. Norman Fisher.
My question is on the same topic, but from a different angle. Would that be acceptable?
If it's new information that we can provide that hasn't been provided yet.
Okay. I want to talk about the science of the issue.
But no, that we can't. I, as an elected official, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a scientist, so I cannot respond on the science at all. I'm not,
Well,
not a scientist.
I want to bring
And I
some
don't think I
facts
have
in.
scientists here to respond. Maybe
I want to
you
bring
a bit,
some
but-
issues into question, okay?
Okay,
And then
okay, but I'm not a scientist.
You can consider it or not consider it, as you wish.
Fine.
Okay.
You can ask your question maybe.
All
Thursday.
hard true comes from the same source. And all clubs in Quebec, whether they're on the island or off, use the same hard true. There are currently no other clubs that are closed using the same hard true as we are, and yet our club is closed. Can you explain that? Plus the fact that the levels across Canada vary from province to province, and we're using the most stringent of all the levels.
I don't think anybody except what staff already explained could explain more, but maybe Maitre Schechter, who does not have a degree in science, but still in law, can assist.
Am I correct in that all other clubs are open and ours is the only one that's closed?
Well, first, if I may, Mr. Mayor, first, there are several courts that are closed right now on the island of Montreal and throughout the province.
Which ones?
So I can give some examples. Hold on, I'll say in a second. So there's Saint-Sever, Repentigny, Prévost, Rosemere, Outremont, Saint-Léonard, LaSalle, and the list goes on. So there are several courts that are closed in Montreal and throughout the province. Now, in terms of levels of asbestos, I would say I'm not familiar with other provinces, but we are governed under provincial law. So provincial law says that anything over 0.1% is a problem. And if I can just go off on a slight tangent, Côte Saint-Luc, we dealt with a similar situation with lead. When the lead limit was 10 parts per billion, we were in a situation where the majority, 80% of the homes in Côte Saint-Luc that were built during that period were conforming, were fine. when the government lowered the limit from 10 parts per billion to 5 parts per billion, it flipped just overnight. So we went from a situation where 80% of our homes were conforming to 80% were not conforming. And nothing changed in Côte Saint-Luc, just the standard change. So in terms of asbestos, we are following provincial law. The standard is 0.1%, so 0.1%. What they have deemed is that even if there's 0.1% of asbestos in a material, it's deemed hazardous. And because we are in the province of Quebec, we have to follow. And I'm not familiar with other provinces or other jurisdictions. So it could be the same product sold in every province, but if Quebec has different standards, just like lead standards are different provinces and different countries, we are forced to follow those regulations. So I'll stop there.
Now, you make it seem as if the findings of asbestos was throughout the club, but in fact it only affected one court. Why couldn't we have closed just 1 or 2 courts and allowed the rest of the club to remain open?
I didn't, sorry, the point of order, I did not say that.
No, you didn't, but I did.
Honestly, staff has explained why we're closed. It's technical, it's not the
Yeah,
elected
but my
official.
question is, one court was tested above that level, but the others tested below it. So I want to know why the club was closed.
Jonathan, you're the one.
But that's my question, and that's where I
Well,
stop.
Jonathan Schechter is the boss here, so let him answer.
So from what I understand, there were 32 courts that were closed, and I don't think that one included Côte Saint-Luc. This article listing the 32 courts came out on August 11th. Your question, though, is a valid one. We asked the scientists, we asked why, for example, one court would, or one city may have a level that is higher than 0.1 and one city may have a level that's lower than 0.1. We didn't get a scientific answer that I can answer you, and I don't want to hazard a guess. The mayor is correct that we don't have a scientific background, but we did ask the question. We also asked the question for the benefit of the members to see if we could open the courts that did test negative, and we were told by the experts, 2 sets of experts, that we were not allowed to do it. We even went for a second opinion, and the second opinion came back the same way. So we listened to the experts that did the analysis, who did request that we close, and we also have the labor board, the SNEST, who also said that our employees cannot manipulate the product. So based on what we received from the labor board and the 2 experts, independent experts, we asked, we were stuck in a position where we could not open those courts, despite how badly we wanted to, and that's why we're being extremely tenacious with this 3rd test, hoping that this more precise test will yield more positive, as the mayor said, positive results in the sense that we will be able to reopen. Because we do appreciate the frustration.
Point of order, Mr. Schechter. The doors are locked downstairs? Is that what?
Is that normal protocol now?
The doors are locked? Because this is a public council meeting. The security guard is telling us that they were ordered to lock the doors at 8:15. Can we open the doors? Because there's people waiting.
And have somebody
It's a
downstairs.
public council meeting.
Have somebody downstairs and control the door to ensure everybody's
I thank you for
safe.
listening to me. I'm just a little bit concerned that his question was, his answer was very detailed, but didn't speak to the issue that I raised. And that's the way it is. Thank you.
The answer in brief, because I will repeat the 2 points. The provincial law says we can't open based on the standard of the results. The provincial law, we're above 0.1%. Whoopie-doo for me, the mayor, but that's what the provincial law says. And number 2, our employees won't work by the SNEST rules. Those are the 2 simple responses. We can talk for hours, but the 2 reasons why we're closed is we're above the 0.1 and the employees aren't allowed to work. That's it. We're not going to keep on answering over and over again the same question. Next question.
You're not speaking to it either. One court tested, the other
I understand, but we asked that question, and we're given the response by the experts that 1 court is enough to close them all. Okay. Okay, I think it's Gladys. Shelley Mannheim. It could be Heidi Mannheim. Sorry, I'm getting all the spelling wrong. Either I don't read that well or... Okay, thank you.
No problem.
We weren't sure. I consulted with Councillor Burke because I wasn't sure. But
That's okay.
still got it wrong.
Good evening. I want to speak on the matter of the minor exemption on Parkhaven for the synagogue.
Yep.
My mom has lived there. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and her. She has lived there since 1962, before the house was even built. Raised a family, quiet, peaceful, nice neighborhood, good neighbors. All of a sudden, one day, it's a synagogue. There was no census sent around. Nobody asked. You know, it's no longer peaceful and quiet. The children run wild. There's nobody watching them. They scream, they yell. I have seen them playing with fire. There is garbage that gets blown over or thrown onto our side. We're left to, collect what's in our yard and dispose of it. I marked down a couple of things, I'm sorry. People go down our driveway to hop the fence at the side of our yard if they're running late instead of going around. It always seems like there's not that much room in the back, so if it's extended, it's going to feel as if they're on top of us. And I just feel at this point, whoever decides on the council, whether it's approved or not, everybody gets to go home and enjoy their solitude of their land. But ours is no longer when we moved in. It's different now. And I'm being told that it's not that the synagogue necessarily wants to extend to have more members and whatnot, but they're coming up to code for safety measures, for fire hazards. But it was up to code when it was a residential home, which it no longer is. So now we're bringing it up to code so we can have yet another synagogue in Côte Saint-Luc when there's so many others already within walking distance.
Okay, so that's the question. I'll let anybody else add, but I'll give the quick summary. That institution, which was illegal, existed for around 25 years. If you've lived there for 30, so I guess you've noticed over the last 25 years, many different issues there. And the intention of council was to, as you say, ensure the safety and security of the neighborhood based on needs, ensuring both improving the peaceful enjoyment of the neighborhood through ensured soundproofing, sprinkler systems, and legal zoning. And that's why we have this new procedure where we're formalizing what has existed in many places for many years, like in this case, 25 years, into a more safe facility that will ensure that the members that use it are safe and the residents in the neighborhood have more of a recourse to a religious institution if they do not respect what a religious institution of that nature should do. So if you have complaints, such as ones that you're mentioning today, I live next to Beth Israel Beth Aaron. If I had some of those complaints and those issues with people playing with fire or jumping my fence, you could be sure I'd be calling my neighbor, which is the Beth Israel Beth Aaron, and dealing with it. So now, because they are legal, or well, not yet, but because they're at the stage where they're going to be conforming, you should treat them as I would treat any other religious institution now that is legalized next to your home, as opposed to what they were before, which was a home. They were just a home before. Now they're a religious institution, so they have certain more obligations to respond to you now. So in that way, you could feel that there's been an improvement to the neighborhood. That would be my answer, but anybody else could add. Okay.
Well, I just want to add that we looked at the back of the homes. Are you the home that's on an angle? Your backyard
Yes.
is like...
Yeah.
And that was one of the considerations because your backyard is your home is quite far from the property line. You have like an angled backyard,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And it's quite far from the property line, and that's something that we actually discussed at the PAC meeting, the impact that the closing of the back of the duplex would have on the neighbors, and we felt that it was actually not that much of an impact because anyway, you had the balconies there. You're not going to have the balconies anymore, right?
No, more private.
Yeah.
What do you
It
mean?
makes it more private. So now they're not in a balcony in your face because there's a wall that sort of makes it more private, like any institution should.
Okay, so is there going to be a wall as opposed to the glass balcony?
You haven't seen the plan? Okay, so we can show it to you right now,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, want to
Okay.
put it on the, want
Yeah,
to put it on
we can show-
the screen?
See, that's something that did you ask to see the plan?
All I know is we received a letter in the mail.
Right,
And so we sent a letter
right,
to.
but you never saw the plan.
No, I did not.
Okay, so
let's
that's
show the
something
plan.
that I'm very much in favor of, and I hope that we're going to fix it when we do our updating of our master plan and the zoning
Okay.
regulations, that neighbors should be able to see the plan before it comes to council. For me, it's very, very crucial. I'm very glad that you brought it up, because I think when you see it, you'll understand better
Okay, I mean, 'cause
how
I-
we weighed it. Maybe
I
it's
underst-
not perfect for you, I agree. But
Right.
we did weigh the fact that it's being enclosed, and therefore it's going to have less of an impact on you.
Okay, because I'm all for seeing it. Like I said, this is my first
Exactly,
time
and you
going
just-
through
and-
this, so I didn't
right.
even know.
And you're bringing up a very important point, which is that the neighbors should be able to see the plan before we adopt it. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm going to repeat it until such time as we get that through.
Okay, yeah, because that would have been helpful.
Yes, I agree. So,
We show the before pictures?
yeah, so the before, I don't think we have.
The bottom and the back.
Okay, so you have the balconies, but you can't see them anymore because they've been removed already, right?
There were balconies there.
No, the balcony is still
The
there.
balconies are there? Okay,
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah,
I don't
it's
see
over there
it
in
from
the
my
distance.
angle.
It's in
The
distance.
balcony's there, the fire escape exit is still there.
So now you see it's enclosed. There's no balcony, and the whole thing is enclosed, and it's rather, attractive. It's not messy, it's clean. We had a lot of discussion about the siding, which way the siding should go, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty,
And the
pretty
facade
neat.
on the street remains looking like a house in order to fit into the neighborhood. We don't change the facade in the front of the house to change its look.
So it's already decided, it's finalized, it's going through, they're going to build.
Pardon?
It's already been decided?
No, we're voting on it tonight.
It's on the agenda tonight
Okay,
for the minor exemption, right? The conditional use, 14.3. It's 14.3. Yeah.
okay. Because the neighborhood, it's not the same as what it was, all the years.
Right, but this is not changing
We're not changing the building.
the use, the
The use,
existing
right,
use.
and we're
Street, there's many, and she has, issues as well. And when I spoke to Melanie Rothpan, she said, oh, there's only 4 that we know of.
No, there's only 4 that are going through this process. Did you want to add something?
Sorry, your house is the,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councilors. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here today because, as some of us know, Côte Saint-Luc has a lead problem, just like Montreal, but also Côte Saint-Luc in their water, meaning residents in certain duplexes and single-family homes cannot drink their water safely and without a filter. And the lead in the water is over Quebec standard of 5 parts per billion. Correct me if I'm wrong. And according to your website, you have been testing the drinking water in the city since 2013, and you guys took over your own water in 2006. And it has now been around 12 years since 2013, and I was wondering how much work has been done during the years and how much work is left to do.
In terms of replacing the pipes, do you have those details, Councillor Italy?
So I'll give, well, thank you, Brendan, for coming in with the question. So I'll give some of the background. So just to maybe give a bit more detail. So back in the year 2000, the limit for lead was actually 50 parts per billion. So it went from 50 to 10. So 50 was quite high. Basically, all our homes were fine. At some point after 2020, it went from 50 to 10. At that point, like I said previously, about 90% of the homes in Côte Saint-Luc were conforming. And then in about 2020, 2021, it started actually with the federal government, and then the provincial government followed. They lowered the standard to 5 parts per billion. So I'll give a perfect example. My own home, I'm at 9 parts per billion. So under the previous, let's say, standards or previous norms, my house was fine. I was conforming. When the government changed it from 10 to 5, my home is no longer conforming. And that is basically where about 60% of the homes in Côte Saint-Luc are in that gray zone between 5 and 10. They also changed the way the water was tested. So it used to be you were allowed to run the water first and then do the testing. Then they changed it. You actually have to let the water sit, or the pipe sit, for about a half hour first before you do the testing. So that also caused a greater increase. Now, what we've done since is we tested. So we are, I think, probably the only city, I would say probably the only city in the province, maybe one of the only cities in the country that we offered this testing for every home. And we tested over, I think, I don't have the exact number, but about 1,500, 1,600 homes we tested, and that's how we have probably some of the best data. We have made arguments to the provincial and federal government saying, hey, because of a simple change in the standard, it's going to cost the city of Côte Saint-Luc probably about $40 million over the next 10, 20 years. We've made requests to them for additional funding. We haven't gotten it yet, but we have. One of the things they did change was they allowed us to use what's called the tech funding, the TCQ, which is the money we get from the gas tax. So we are able to use that, which has helped. But I guess my point is we are able to do some every year, but it's probably still going to take about 10, 20 years to do. Now, what we do is we offer residents a rebate in the meantime, and every month we have many families who do get these lead filters. I use a filter in my own house. I encourage residents to do it. I believe the standard is the NSF 53, but you get more information on our city website. We encourage residents whose homes were built in that period where lead was used to get one of these filters, which does filter out the lead, and to continue to use that. We're doing this street by street, so it's going to take some time. Each one costs about $20,000 because you have to excavate to change the lead pipe for copper. So all that to say, it is something we worked on. It really only became an issue in about 2020, 2021. So it hasn't been an issue for 12 years. It's really only been an issue for about 4 or 5 years, and we're doing everything we can, and we're continuing to do that. And hopefully, we'll have it solved. But in the meantime, if you do live, and again, for all residents, including yourself, if you have a home that may have lead, please use the lead filter until we can get to replacing your lead service line.
For sure. And also, you said that each road, it costs around the city roughly around $20,000, obviously.
$20,000, sorry, per home, or
Okay.
to replace each service line.
And how many roads have you guys done since the time around?
How many? So we estimate there's about 2,000 homes in Côte Saint-Luc that have lead service lines. We replaced a few hundred. I don't want to give you the exact number. I'd have to check with the engineering department. But I would say we've probably done about 300-400, maybe 400 or 500. I'd have to double check.
For sure.
But we've done a few hundred. Huh? Yeah, about
And-
70 to 80 a year. So I would say probably we've done about.
I think you're at your 3 minutes.
We've done probably about a quarter of them, and we're going to continue to do more each year.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much.
And,
Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you. And can I just ask one really quick
We have a
follow-up?
lot of questions tonight,
Okay,
if it's okay. I want to see if we can get through them all.
okay,
So you can, Brandon, you can email me and I'll share more
okay,
information.
okay, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Howard Cohen.
I don't have any questions because it was about tennis. I just want to thank you as a non-resident. I've been a member of the tennis club for over 40 years. I love it there. You can mark my name down, Howard Cohen. It's spelled the same way as Mike. You can get my phone number and the way to contact me through Ryan Nemiroff, who's terrific. And if any time you need a volunteer worker for the tennis club, I'd be very happy to give you some of my semi-retired time.
Thank you so much.
very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Heidi Mannheim. Oh, we did? Oh, sorry, I don't know why I have it again. Thank you. Norman Sabin.
Good evening. I have an announcement to make this evening. I'm going to be running as a candidate for city councillor in District Number 1. Sorry about that, Councillor Seabag, but I think competition is healthy. My campaign slogan is going to be "Let's Go Green," which means we get green lights everywhere in Côte Saint-Luc and we have a healthy environment. And Sharon Freeman doesn't know this, but she will be my campaign manager. So I have to let her know about that.
She doesn't know it yet. She doesn't know it. Okay.
I'm just joking. So I look forward to the campaign. I'm putting a website together and posters and all this stuff. So it's my first time running in a campaign, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see where it goes.
Thank you. Enjoy
Thank
it.
you. May I just make a comment about the Côte Saint-Luc Tennis Club, because I used to play there too, and since the 1970s. In fact, one of my former coaches is right there, Alan and Kenny.
You still have a wooden tennis racket?
I do. Well, actually, it's graphite now. This testing for asbestos, is it the first time it's been done now at the tennis club, or has it been done before as well?
So this was on the heels of Environment Canada, and from what we understand, it is the first time that we know of that this testing has been done.
Okay.
And we only did the testing on the heels of the results that were found in the other municipalities.
Because hard shoe's been used there since the 1970s.
Right.
So we might have all been playing on, courts with asbestos and sliding around and everything, and I never got asbestosis. I don't think Kenny did either, and so I'm not sure really if there's a huge risk there, but we'll never know really what's been going on for the last 40 years. So I'm just wondering why, we rushed to close the tennis courts, not knowing anything about previous testing, and there was never any previous testing. So.
New rules change things all the time, as we explained for lead, as we explained for now tennis, and I don't know if when they came up with that idea that smoking was bad, but it used to be great.
Yeah.
So who knows? Things change all the time.
I can just share, I'll just share one more analogy. I'm sure you would appreciate this. As a child, I remember going to the gas station, which now I don't have to do, luckily.
Seatbelts, why do they do
But I
those?
remember going to the gas station, having a choice between leaded and unleaded gasoline. And eventually they banned leaded gasoline, and actually one of the biggest sources of lead that was in our bodies, because they would do testing, was from gasoline. Children and adults alike would smell the fumes of the gasoline, and that caused brain damage, cancer, and so on over many years. Eventually the government banned lead in gasoline. I think it's still legal in some random countries, but it's illegal, of course, in Canada. At the time, we didn't know any better, and I remember even asking my father, well, why one or the other? Well, some cars were more specific, one was cheaper, one was more expensive. Eventually, they figured it out, just as the mayor mentioned, with smoking and so on. Now, hopefully, the courts will be fine, but obviously the standards change, just like the lead standard did as well.
It's just that from a medical point of view, I've never heard of asbestosis coming from a tennis, somebody whose only exposure was on a tennis court, so just a little bit perplexed about that.
It certainly bothers me, just as it's bothering you. As I said right at the beginning, if it was up to me, I'd have the courts opened immediately. I mean, I think everybody's played on them for the last 10, 20 years. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that now all of a sudden there's asbestos. In the last 10 years there wasn't, but I'm not in charge. Like I said, it's the province, the SNEST, we have to close, we close. Okay,
Thank you.
so all the best of luck, and now we're moving on to, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this one right. You give that a guess for that one. What do you say?
Marcelo Cano?
Marcelo Cano. All right, welcome.
Is that right?
Did we pronounce it right?
Yes,
Good.
yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, welcome.
I have two questions. Regarding the water, people came to my house and made a test, and it was 6 parts per billion. Recently, I need to open some wall in my house, and all the piping is not in lead. So the
It's
question
not
is,
lead, the pipe is not in lead,
So
okay.
how I got the test over the 5 required by the...
Obviously, your house, I guess inside your home, it's the street pipe that's contaminating your home, I guess, because if your pipes are inside, not lead, so it has to come from the connection that's outside, right? Councillor Lee, who's the scientist?
So if I may share, so there's,
Yes.
See, the question is, I need to make another test? You send someone else to make another test? Because I have no intention of paying $20,000
there are
if I don't need it.
There are 3 options for the lead if you have. So if they did a test and you got results of 6 parts per billion,
Yeah.
so it means there's some lead. So mine, as I shared, mine was 9, you're slightly less at 6. What that means is there's lead. There's three scenarios, I would say. One is that there's lead somewhere in your house. There are sometimes, and again, lead was used occasionally on some of the joints. So where there's curves, where there's connection between 2 pieces of pipe and so on some of the curves, lead was used. The reason it was used is because lead is a very malleable material, very soft. So that's one option. The other option is, in terms of what we call the service line, there's 2 portions. There's the private portion, which is yours, and there's the public portion, which is the city. So either it could be on your side, it could also be on the city side, or it could be on both sides. Now, if you did a visual inspection, and they're saying that's not on your side, it is possible that it is on the city side. Okay. The only way to do that is the city we did some testing, so where we dug a small hole on your lawn. I would say the best thing for that would be if you reach out to the engineering department, if you send an email to engineering@cotesaintluc.org, you give them your address, they can give you more information. But we did what we call a pneumatic excavation. So what the city did a few years ago was for each home, they dug a small hole in your lawn, maybe 1 foot by 1 foot or 2 feet by 2 feet, and they did actually a visual inspection of the pipe. I don't know the answer for your specific home, but I would say the best thing, if you reach out to the engineering department, engineering@cotesaintluc.org, and you give them your address, they can get back to you with the information.
Please.
Thank you. And we have a second person, but the same last name.
No, wait a minute. I have
Cano,
another question. Mr. Bronstein,
Nello?
Mr. Bronstein, I have another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. The second question is regarding the synagogue that you want to install. You will install in my room, in my street. My question is why you didn't have the same way of analyzing this thing when the rabbi of the synagogue, Ben Oliel, he wanted to buy a land which was in the side of the dog park. Because in that place, there is no neighbors, they bother nobody, they can make a building the size they want, or you accept the size of the building. And if you want to make a consultation with the neighbors, in the front you have a school, in the left you have the city, in the other side you have nobody, in the corner you have the community center, and in the other corner you have the Maimonides Hospital. So why in our street, which has buses there, the other day, the police stopped someone for a traffic infraction. Imagine, car one side, car the other side, the police stop, and the police here protecting was a stop on the street. During the winter my wife wanna talk about that again, despite I have the feeling that you already approved that, because you don't live close by, right? You live far away from that. So my question is why we didn't follow the same, instead of asking the whole street, if they accepted to be reduced from residential to commercial, why you didn't follow the same procedure you are following now, asking to the neighbors?
Okay, I'm going to venture an answer. Okay, first of all, the Colel, they purchased a property next to the Cavendish Mall, and that is the first place that they wanted to rezone.
Yeah, I know.
And that didn't,
Ma'am,
that
excuse me,
didn't
I was
pass.
member of this beautiful thing during 2 years. I have nothing against the institution. The rabbi is
Right.
wonderful.
No, but I'm
I
just
know
explaining-
everybody. I love everybody
I'm
inside.
explaining
The
to you how
problem is
we've
you
got-
can't live
okay, but
together with
you
that.
asked the question, I'm just explaining to you how we
yeah.
got to this stage
Yes,
right
okay,
now.
okay.
Right? That's what
Yes.
you want to know?
Yes,
So
beautiful.
I'm saying about 10 years ago, 2017 maybe, I don't remember, yeah. They purchased, or 2015, 2016, they purchased a property right next to the Cavendish Mall, and they wanted to rezone that property. It's an empty lot right next to the entrance
I know the lot.
to the CLSC, and we put it to the public, and it was, I don't know if it was voted down, I think it was voted down. There was a register against it. Then they came back and they said they wanted to buy the land next to the dog run, and we had a public consultation, and again, there was a register, and so we did not go through with the referendum. So they tried 2 separate locations, so now they are in this location, they have been there for 30 years. 25, 30, I would say 30. And I've been a counselor for 30 years, and it's the first time that I've heard a complaint about this institution. You are the first time that I hear a complaint. And it's very unusual, because if you look at other places of worship that are non-conforming, and I won't give the addresses, but there are many in Côte Saint-Luc.
I know.
Okay, there are many. You hear complaints. I have never had a complaint about Parkhaven.
Okay.
So for me, from my perspective, I think that they're well integrated into the community. They've been there for 30 years. They now are enclosing everything in a way that is going to integrate well, that's going to look very clean and neat. And that's why tonight I'm going to vote for it. That's
So
my
basically,
explanation.
We found a way that hopefully is going to be good for the congregation and good for the neighborhood. And the facade remains the same on the street. The building gets a little bigger, but a little more private for the neighbors outside. And it's a solution. Can I answer why the others didn't pass? That's the procedure. It was a different procedure, and people came out to sign a register, and it was going to be, those two locations were not looked upon favorably by the individuals that could sign or register against it. So it didn't move forward. Doesn't mean that it wouldn't have been good if it did move forward, but the area residents didn't want it to, so it failed.
Okay.
Mrs. Cano, just to make sure, Mrs. Cano.
Hi, good evening. Well, my point is also the Kollel. With all the respect to Rabbi Benuliel, that is a very, very nice person and puts all his effort to minimize the headache that's living right across the Kollel. It's right across. So parking is a nightmare. Right. This past week, I had to send a picture with license plates to Rabbi Benuel 3 times in a week, because he asked me, because last time that I had to call the city was so frustrating, and that I called him, and since then he has got, every time that there's someone blocking our driveway, you take a picture and send to me. So this week, 3 times, so it's not normal, right? Sometimes the city is good and comes fast, sometimes it takes the time of their life, like gives the impression that they do on purpose to give time for people to live there and not get a fine. So the city is a little bit awkward in this. I also have been harassed because of this. Even once a couple of months ago, I was called a Nazi because I complained, right? I think it's my right to have my driveway free, and I complain, and I'm a Nazi now. Because it's a kollel, it's non-stop going back and parking and movement from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it's not the fact that you keep the facade or you doesn't change the movement that is there, right? So on the snowstorm, it was a mess because it was the mess for everybody, but on top of everything, you had the bus coming and cars parked on both sides of the street, so everything paralyzed. You know, it's not a way of living. And also, I'm worried how this could affect the value of my property, because I don't know if many people would be interested in if one day I want to sell my house to live in front of a synagogue.
That's 3 minutes.
So, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's 3 minutes that you got a lot of questions in. If there's something you want to add, you did your 3 minutes already, but if there's something you want to add quickly, go ahead.
Okay. So this is how it affects me personally, right? But as a citizen, as part of the city, I think it means not only this, but all the pop-up schools, right? They mean less dwellings for families, more properties that are being tax exempted, so more taxes on the people, right, on the residents. And also, it might send a wrong sign for the people who want to come to Côte Saint-Luc. Oh, let's go to Côte Saint-Luc, because there you can do whatever you want, because after a while, everything gets normalized. So, and I remember that the first place that didn't go through.
We're way over 3 minutes now. You're not,
okay,
you're not
I'm almost
adding more things for me to answer. If you have something else that you want to add that would give me another...
I'm finalizing.
Okay.
Just to remember that when the property, the piece of land beside the Cavendish Mall, people didn't want there because they thought that would be, Côte Saint-Luc could turn into a Bnei Brak. So, and there is this perception that the more these things gets going on, the more controlled and we are getting. That's it.
I got all your questions. First of all, the number one is we can look at creating parking restrictions and signage to improve the situation around your home, like we've done in other areas, like on Haywood. So we'll send that to the traffic committee, because that's something that we can do. With respect to other complaints, you should be calling public security, and we will direct them to answer quickly with respect to if there's something really going on that needs to be addressed, noise too late at night, garbage, improper behavior, and so on. In terms of the value of your home, you could say it might go down or it could go up, depending on who's the guy who wants to live next door to them. If they want to live close to the kollel, maybe they'll pay more. So I don't know if it's going to go up or down. It depends on who wants to buy your home. I'm not a real estate agent, but there's benefits and negatives to living close to an institution. I think those are the things that we can do. In terms of the changing of the neighborhood, you are correct that the city, over the number of years, has had population growth in certain areas, in certain communities, that some are religious, some are not religious, but overall, there's a feeling that Côte Saint-Luc is a relatively safe place to live as a Jew. So a lot of people like to live here because it's welcoming and understanding and we all get along. Whether we're Jewish or not, everybody respects each other. And based on our location and the geographic structure area where you have to go under an underpass in order to come into this nice little area, it's nice and happy and safe. So yes, a lot of Jewish communities have decided to move into our neighborhood, all of various different ethnic backgrounds, but of the Jewish faith, and we all get along. So that's just the reality. And it's a great city. People want to live here, and we welcome everybody, Jewish and not. So I think, but we're going to try to do something. So let's have the traffic committee look into how they can improve the signage and enforcement around that area. Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to frame a bit of the discussion as well. I think it's also important to know that when we were working on the master plan, the city sent out surveys, and integrating home-based businesses and activities that service the needs of the community is the path that Côte Saint-Luc decided to take. And that was based on the feedback that it received from the residents and the surveys that were filled out. So it's the issue I have right now is it seems that there's always seems to be a focus on the more observant community. So there are many other institutions, businesses, home-based businesses and all that are technically are not legal as well, which were all integrated in part into the master plan in order to legalize them, to make sense of it. So why? Because they were part of the fabric of what Côte Saint-Luc is for the last 20, 25 years. So it's just, I just want to stop approaching the discussion as sort of a Jewish institution versus not. These are municipal affairs that involve all institutions. So I hear your requests and your issues with parking and all that. And these can be solved, these can be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with maybe sometimes in a little bit more firm hand. So I do agree with you. And I do know that you have been working with the rabbi, and I know that he is trying. And I know that we need to try harder. So we maybe need to involve public security to try to enforce. Also, like the mayor said, we may want to put in and install some parking that is not allowed for non-residents of that street for certain areas. That could be a possibility as well, where there's choke points for the beginning of the block, especially so that it doesn't block the cars from turning in and turning out. So I hear your concerns. They're valid. I don't say that they're not. I bring the point that the mayor and both Dita brought up, is that it's been there for 30 years. I'm not sure how many years you've been there living on Park Haven. You moved in, I'm assuming, after it was there. So sort of knowing that it was there, we need to try to live with what's within our neighborhood. I live down the street from a school. And it's frustrating in the morning to not be able to get out of my house sometimes, because it's like a highway. And then I get out, and then I got to go down Guelph, which is a disaster because there's another school there, and people put U-turns on Guelph. So it's just a reality, because that's what happens in the morning when I got to leave my house. Within 2 blocks, 2 schools, no way to get out from one side, no parking. It's part of how our cities are built. It's part of how we live. We have to understand that there's certain services that are given in the city for the residents, and they don't always apply to us. I don't need any of the schools that are there. I don't have any kids that go to the schools there, but yet these are schools that are servicing our residents. So I hear your complaints. I hear your concerns. I do believe we can work through them, and I pledge to reach out to you again, and we'll continue to discuss them to make sure that all your concerns are at least not just heard, but we can address them and address them in a way that's going to be satisfactory.
Thank you, Councillor Azarad. We have two more questions, though. I have two more people to speak. Okay. Thank you so much. Mark Lokshin.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
The question is about access to the official Côte Saint-Luc Facebook page, CSL Ideas.
Okay.
It was at some point in January that I kind of discovered that there was a major change that happened to that site.
Okay, ask your question. I'm not
Sure.
getting the question.
Basically, I was trying to make a post which was rejected, so I got in touch with the city, and it was explained to me that there is a new system in place, and basically that the residents now need to contact the appropriate departments directly. That it's not the best way. I mean, the old way was not the best way to address issues, and which is fair enough. I mean, I understand there is some value in contacting the appropriate areas of the city, but that site was a lot more than just a means to contact the city, to reach out to the city. There's a big part of it was a public forum where like over 3,000 residents, were
What's the question? It's not a chat page. There are social media sites for that. It's an information page, our Facebook page. But what's the question?
Well, the question, I would like to know who made the decision to change it in such a drastic way. Because
Well, we have a communications director who makes recommendations. It goes to council and we approve it. But we feel that it's a better page now and it provides information, which is its primary purpose.
Mhm. Okay,
And I think Director Levine, who's been working here for longer than I've been mayor, knows his stuff. He's a great communicator.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And our last speaker is Ariel Kinkler, saving the best for last. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good evening. I don't come to the meetings often, but this tennis closure hasn't been sitting well with me. So there's two falsehoods that I just heard from council. The first one is you mentioned that the province ordered clubs to close. That's falsehood number one.
I didn't say that. I said the province has a standard at 0.1 now.
So
I didn't say they forced us
they
to close.
recommended that clubs shut down, and that recommendation does not have to be received by each club. Each club is allowed to make their own decision. So Côte Saint-Luc, in my opinion, is known to be a trendsetter. You've achieved many firsts, like first city that brought in pickleball mats, first city that put up glass backboards, first city that put in ping pong tables, all great ideas. So you could have been the first city that actually told the government, we don't accept this recommendation, and here's why. First question you could have asked them, we elect you to work hard for us. We elect you to go and do the work that we've been doing for the past 3 weeks, the research we've conducted. And all you did was just shut down in a panicked state, taking away tennis from us, a sport that all of us
Ariel,
love.
I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but
I heard everything in the beginning.
No, Ariel, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I said that if it was up to me, I'd leave it open.
So it is.
And the reasons why is staff, and they'll let them answer.
Perfect. Let's discuss
The
staff.
staff answer, they tell us that the workers won't work.
Fantastic.
Based on SNES.
No problem.
And the rate,
Great.
and it's over 0.1, but I'll let staff ask why they're
let's
tying
discuss-
my hands and making me not open.
Let's discuss the
Because if it was up to me,
CNSST.
we can go play tennis right now.
Let's discuss the CNSST. CNSST, question number 1. Explain to me, CNSST, how the maintenance workers at the following clubs can manipulate clay from August 15th to September 8th. Club number 1, Hampstead. Club number 2, TMR. Club number 3, MRTC. Club number 4, Ile des Sœurs. Club number 5, Hampstead. Club number 6, Montreal West. I could go on for 10 more minutes with, hold on, no, wait, just a moment.
Point of order, this is not a respectful tone. first
Okay,
of all.
sorry.
But
Clay
let
clubs.
the city manager answer your
Just a
question.
moment. I just want to finish my question. Clay clubs right now that are open have employees that work for them that are manipulating the very same clay that you are not allowing us to play on. Because you're taking a recommendation, which is just a recommendation, and shutting us down. You could have easily been a trendsetter and said, no, we'd like to ask you hard questions. Why is it 0.1 in Quebec? Why is it 0.5 in Ontario? Why is it 1.0 in New Brunswick? Why is it 1.0 in the States? Why is the hard truth coming for the past 50 years from the same source? And nothing's ever happened. All of a sudden, out of the blue, a Saint-Sauveur employee decides to test it, and the snowball effect happens. None of these questions were asked. All that happened was automatic closure. It's completely unacceptable. You are elected to do the work that we want you to do for us and fix this. You don't automatically close. That is not the thing to do, especially when it's not unilaterally closed province-wide.
Listen, Ariel, that's your opinion.
No, it's not an opinion.
But it's over.
You have very, very mad citizens
You're not
all over the city.
Ariel, I appreciate everything you've said. And now we're going to give the answer again. The city manager, but you're not going to get a chance to speak again.
Right, so here's my last
So
question
that's
to the city manager. I'd like the city manager to answer this question. Explain to me how a maintenance worker at Hampstead, we'll take one example, at Hampstead Tennis Club, is right now manipulating the same clay and maintaining the courts in a safe manner. Explain to me how that's possible.
I promise. Wait. Before you answer, I promise you he's going to give you a very full response. But I'd ask you to sit down.
There is no response.
No, but
There's no way to answer that.
Ariel, I'd ask you to sit down, please. Now he
So
will
we're
give
all
you a
ears.
response. Ariel, Mr. Klinker, please sit.
Mr. Schechter, we're listening to you.
Is he gonna, okay, I don't know how to turn. Anyway, he's going to speak now, and you're not going to get to speak again.
Go ahead.
So please, you may as well sit down. Go ahead, and Jonathan, speak as long as you have to answer all those questions.
Well, if I understand,
Yeah.
his basic question is, how is it that there are certain clay courts that are still open, whereas Côte Saint-Luc and the others that we had mentioned earlier had decided to close? And what is the linchpin? If it's a recommendation, and your other question is, well, if it's not something that these instances are enforcing, why did Côte Saint-Luc choose to follow that recommendation, and why did we not question it more?
Correct.
This is, I think, where I see you being upset.
We're not upset.
It's not sitting well with you.
Very, very much so.
Right. So I got the impression when you first spoke that you said, this decision is really not sitting well with me, and I'd like some answers. So I'm going to try to parse this and answer as best as I can. So the first part of your question is directly related to the test results received. So what our HR director and associate city manager reconfirmed to us this morning, was that she spoke to the SNEST inspector, and it's not on the basis of the material as much as it is on the basis of the results found in that material that we were advised by the SNEST that we should not let our employees or not have our employees manipulate the material. So that's the first thing. That's the first part of the answer.
When they say that to you, do not ask them, what about the other clubs?
Well, to come back to the answer, the distinction they made was not based on the material, but based on the results and the levels found in our material.
But all the bags say the same amounts. There's zero difference.
I understand, but the tests that we did from 2 labs, and your point is a valid one in terms of did we question, and we certainly question. Not only did we not sit when we got the first test results, but we asked for a second opinion. And a lot of the questions that you asked are questions that your colleagues who play tennis at the tennis club have asked as well. And there are things that have allowed us or kind of compelled us to reflect.
Have you heard of Axon Lab?
Anyway, we still had a long
just one last
agenda.
question,
No,
Mr. Schechter.
I told you can sit down
Have you
now.
heard of Axon
Way
Lab?
after 3 minutes. Ariel, you have to sit down now.
Can I ask one last question?
You can ask, but you have to sit down after you ask this last question.
I will. So Axon Lab, okay, who the councillors always say we have to trust the experts. And in my opinion, the councillors very seldomly give the citizens the benefit of the doubt. So Axon Lab on their website, it says that in Canada, the standard is 0.1. They say the federal limit is 0.1, just to show you how erroneous these experts are. Their website says it's 0.1. We all know in the room that it's not. But you continuously tell the citizens that we're listening to the experts, when the experts are false. The experts are completely false.
Okay, you made your statement, please sit down. Thank you. Do you have any further response to give, Mayor Schechter? Or Councillor Levine, Councillor?
So just to clarify for the residents, and I haven't seen his website, but just to be clear, one more time, the provincial standard in the province of Quebec is 0.1. Mr. Kinkler is correct. And as I stated earlier, each province has their own standard. Actually, as we were talking, I pulled it up. So for example, let's see, it's Alberta, Manitoba, and Quebec, the three provinces that have the most strict guidelines in terms of being 0.1. You have Ontario somewhere in the middle, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia being at 0.5. You have the remaining provinces being at 1%. Each province.
0.1 or less than 0.1.
Okay.
So again,
Councillor Early, just finish,
saying
and
the
then we're going to
standard
move on.
for the province of Quebec is 0.1. The standard for other provinces is 0.5, and other provinces is 1. Each province has their own standard. We are in the province of Quebec and thus governed by provincial regulations. So that is the reality. If we were in the province of Ontario, the rules would be different. If we were in, where's the province? If we were in New Brunswick, the rules would be different, but we are in the province of Quebec. Thank
So
you.
let's hope that we get to open them next week. That's the goal. But we're going to open it, and we're going to extend the season. All right, and now we're going to the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen. Councillor Cohen.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Move the minutes of August the 11th and August the 25th by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? All in favor? The minutes are carried of August 11th and August 25th, 2025. Any business arising from the minutes? Monthly departmental reports. Councillor Schuster, you're here.
The monthly departmental reports dated August 2025 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
I'll just, I have a few notes for recreation, aside from the topic of tennis. The ACC shutdown is until September 14th, and the ACC will reopen on the 15th. And the work being done are some repairs, new fixtures, new LED lights for the indoor pool, which I'm very excited about. And the ACC salons will be getting new AV systems. Roof work will be done in the fall, which won't require a closure, but there may be some small minor inconveniences. Pickleball tournaments have been going well. I'm happy to report also that the new Amelia software has continued to roll out during the fall programming registration, and the new software has improved staff efficiency. What used to take 3 to 4 hours now only takes 1, as reported by staff. Gardens of Distinction has gone very well, with about 55 featured gardens to date. I'm sure Councillor Cohen will mention the upcoming banquet for the golf and gardens. And residents are proudly displaying their signs. And as we grow the program next year, we will be producing a walking tour map of the beautiful gardens in the city. The mayor already mentioned My Fair Zadie, which I am excited to see, provided I am healthy. As we transition back to school, the Parkhaven outdoor pool is operating on a postseason schedule, and the Yitzhak Rabin waiting pool is now closed. And as of yesterday, the Samuel Moscovich Arena is operating at full fall-winter schedule, including times for public skate, and residents can check out CôteSaintLuc.org for the schedule and further details. I just want to thank Director Ziga and her staff, along with various departments who collaborate with Recreation to assist with events and initiatives and to troubleshoot when needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Sabag? No? Councillor Early? Okay.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief. I'll start with VCOP, as we have some of our volunteers in the room. So for VCOP, in the month of August, we had 215 patrols, representing 380 hours of individual volunteer time. Our VCOP volunteers drove 2,022 kilometers in the month, and were there at 14 special events to support the city. On the environment front, on August 31st, we had our big drop-off, and 361 residents came out. Some of the highlights, we had 204 residents come for shredding paper, 177 for household hazardous waste, and 153 for e-waste. So we encourage you to hold on to your materials for now. There'll be another drop-off day coming up in the near future. In terms of permits, we're up to 543 dog permits, 7 cat permits since the beginning of the year. I mentioned the water filters before, so we've done 76 water filter rebates, and again, encourage residents who live in a home that may have a lead service line to please use a filter to filter out the lead that may be in their water. And I'll finish on some trees. We will be planting in the next few weeks, month or so, about 700 more trees in Ashkelon Gardens. What the city has been doing is removing some of the invasive species and that are growing in the garden just beside City Hall over the last few years. There'll be 700 new trees planted. So it'll take a little while for them to grow and become beautiful, but we'll see the fruits of our labor, if I can use that pun, in the next few years. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Sabat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So quite a few things to talk about on the public safety side. Once again, a very busy month with over 1,500 calls coming to our dispatch center. We did get 100% coverage with about 2,400 hours volunteered by a wonderful EMS crew. We did have a new cohort that just graduated from EMS. So this is the second cohort, 2025B, with 8 new first responders who officially passed their exam. I met some of them. They're a great crew, very enthusiastic to get on the road, and I did put a quick post about it the other day. But what I wanted to talk to you about is a pilot project that we started at Tiffany Towers that is taking place and most likely going to spread around certain buildings of the city for people to be ready to respond to medical emergencies. So we've launched a pilot project to train residents and staff of buildings on their AED, whether they own an AED or not. We like to make sure that they have one, and if they do, we will train them through our EMS volunteers, and that will be obviously free of charge. We're offering this as like I mentioned, a pilot program free of charge, and if they haven't invested in AED, I will just mention that it's important to at least have an AED if you're in a building, whether there's a gym, a pool, or any activity. It's always nice to have an automated external defibrillator. So we're encouraging owners to consider making that investment and calling us to get a little bit more information on how we can help to train their staff. So that is it on the public safety side. So great news, and I hope to get some calls from our local residents that need some training on this AED.
Excellent. Anyone else? Councillor Cohen.
I want to invite the community to next Monday at 10 o'clock at Trudeau Park, where we will be inducting into the Human Rights Walkway Clifford Lincoln, who at 96 is expected to be with us at the ceremony. Richard French, who will be, I believe Darrell has said still that he's coming to the ceremony, and posthumously Herbert Marks, whose family will be there, including his son, who's flying in from New York City. His son is a prominent surgeon there. And these were 3 liberal cabinet ministers who stood up for Anglo rights back in, a couple of decades ago in the Liberal government, when the Liberals used the notwithstanding clause for language laws. And we felt that the timing was impeccable. We've had the human rights walkway for a long time, and we felt the timing was important to recognize these individuals who basically put their constituents before their politics. And you don't see that a lot right now. You certainly don't see it in the United States with all the Republicans doing whatever Donald Trump says. You don't see it with the CAQ, because whatever law the CAQ adopts that's against minorities or Anglos, no one speaks up for us. So it's a very good event to pay tribute. So we invite everyone to come join us next Monday, 10 o'clock, Trudeau Park. We'll have some schools there with us. It'll be a learning exercise. If it rains, it'll be moved to the Aquatic and Community Center. So again, please join us. Very much looking forward to that. I wanted to also let you know that the Cavendish Extension meeting we had here was a very big success, co-hosted by Councillor Burku and I. And if you go to the YouTube channel of Côte Saint-Luc, you could watch the entire meeting. It was really terrific with Mayor Brownstein, Rick Lechner, Robert Lippman. We're all going to be watching the Montreal election very closely to see who wins, and more importantly, to see what positions the mayoral candidates have on Cavendish. I think that while we're all busy, those of us who are seeking re-election, knocking on doors ourselves for election, I think we also need to be advocates. And I think we, as elected officials, need to spend some time meeting with candidates for Projet Montréal and Ensemble Montréal and telling them and talking to them and getting their position on the Cavendish extension, because what the Plante administration has done over the last number of years is just completely inappropriate, not even making any moves towards it. And I know that many of us say that we may never live to see the Cavendish extension. I hope that's not true. Sir Walter Scott, right near Ilan Ramon, we have a beautiful piece of vacant land that is up for sale, and it's been for sale for a couple of years. The problem is the gentleman who owns the land has been using it as a dumpster ground. I've been speaking to the real estate agent today. I finally spoke to the owner myself. We are headed to court with him in October to get the dumpster removed and all the building materials that are sitting on this beautiful land. I had a nice conversation with him today. He indicated to me that he's hoping to get the material gone by this week. That would give me no greater pleasure, because I told him it's in his best interest. We don't have much land right now in Côte Saint-Luc that's available for housing. So if he does clear the land, beautifies it, and more people couldn't even see his for sale sign because it was covered with grass. So I'm hoping that'll happen. As well, recently we had an opportunity to meet the new Consul General of Israel. His office had contacted me. I asked if he would come to City Hall. I invited Mayor Brownstein and Councillor Burku, and it was very nice to show him, and he came for a walk in the library, and he was very, very impressed. So that's my report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cohen. Anyone else? So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we'll move to the next item, which is 7A, resolution for disbursements. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of August 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2025 for a total amount of $8,562,752.37 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer Certificate number 25-0120, dated September 2nd, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
So just to mention, this is slightly higher than our average month. The main reason, we had a few capital bond repayments totaling $3.3 million. So this is when we borrow money and refinance it. And there was also some fees for road reconstruction, our water contract, and for a new vehicle purchased by the city. So those were the highlights. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to item 8A, hiring of a permanent full-time distribution agent motorized equipment. Counselor, so this would usually be... It's for Counselor Cohen.
Yeah. I so move that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of VRL Mehai as a distribution agent motorized equipment, full-time permanent white-collar position, that the Treasurer Certificate number 250121 dated August 28, 2025 has been issued by the City Treasurer, testing to the availability of funds.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. We go to Councillor Cohen for item B, hiring of auxiliary full-time office agent.
I so move that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Roxana Moskovich as an office agent, full-time auxiliary white-collar position. That's her Treasurer Certificate number 250122, dated August 28, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer, testing the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep,
just
yep.
for clarification purposes, just to let you know, this item is the hiring of someone to replace someone on maternity leave, and the previous one was to replace somebody who had retired. It's just for informational purposes.
Thank you. So all in favor? It's carried unanimously. And now we move to Councillor Sabag for hiring of a part-time public security agent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc approves the hiring of Khaled Banouas as a public security agent, part-time auxiliary white-collar position effective August 25, 2025, that the Treasurer Certificate number 250123, dated August 28, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expense.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? All in favor? Councillor Cohen's in favor too, I'm sure. Carried unanimously. And then we move to the next item, which would be Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Johan McCarthy Normalde as an elections secretary contract position effective August 15, 2025, and that Treasurer Certificate number 25-0124, dated August 28, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention briefly, Johan actually worked for the City of Côte Saint-Luc back in 2021 at the previous election, and he has a lot of experience working at federal elections as well, and he'll help support the city during the upcoming election period.
Moved by Councillor Erdely and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to the next one for Councillor Erdely, E, adoption of psychological and sexual harassment policy.
Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves and adopts the City of Côte Saint-Luc Human Rights and Anti-Harassment Discrimination Policy annexed hereto to form an integral part hereof.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention the original policy goes back to 2018. As per the law, every few years we have to update it. That's what the legal department has been doing. Legal or general counsel and HR department have been working on. So this is an updated version of our policy. Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item 9, purchasing. Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approve entering into a partnership agreement with CPEs located on its territory in order to establish a collaborative framework between the city and the CPEs that support the delivery of childcare services, promote social diversity, and fosters a collaborative relationship with the city while preserving the city's legal independence in accordance with the Educational Child Care Act as amended by Bill 95, that the City Council hereby authorize the General Council to sign for and on behalf of the city such partnership agreements with the CPEs located on its territory.
Moved by Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So just a little background. This resolution allows us to create a partnership between the city and all the CPEs that are in Côte Saint-Luc, on the Côte Saint-Luc territory.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Oh, Councillor Erdely.
Yeah, so I just, as I stated when this was mentioned previously or in committee, in my day job, I'm the head of school, Solomon Schechter Academy, which also has its own preschool. And as such, to avoid any direct or indirect pecuniary interest, disclosing the nature of my interests, and have not taken part in any discussions and will abstain on this vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? So it's carried with Councillor Erdely abstaining based on potential conflict of interest. Okay, so now we move on to the next item, which is 10A, Councillor Burku. Draft bylaw concerning the rules of internal management and procedure of council meetings, notice of motion, and tabling of a draft bylaw.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved, or is this just a notice of motion? So I hereby give notice of, well, I don't see.
It's a notice of motion and tabling.
Okay, so I hereby, hang on, okay, I'll do it in French. Je donne avis par la présente que le projet de règlement numéro 2628 à être intitulé « Règlement concernant les règles de régie interne et de procédure des séances du Conseil » sera présenté à une réunion subséquente pour adoption. Et je mentionne l'objet et la portée du projet de règlement, règlement concernant les règles de régie interne et de procédure des séances du Conseil. Et par la présente, je dépose le projet de règlement numéro 2628 à être intitulé « Le règlement concernant les règles de régie interne et de procédure des séances du Conseil ».
Proposé pour le conseiller Burku. Et c'est tout? No, there's no, it's a notice of motion and a tabling. There's no seconder. That's it? Okay. Cool. All right, so then we go to the next item, which is 10B, and that's Councillor Kuchowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They have the first and last name reversed. That's the Schechter in the preamble to the resolution. So it should be Mr. David Ohana and Mrs. Sabrina Hakim. So the first and last names are just swapped.
So
yeah.
For the purpose of the minutes,
I apologize. I should have mentioned that earlier. Thank you. All right, so whereas the city of Côte Saint-Luc wishes to enter into an offer to purchase agreement regarding a city-owned lane being a portion of cadastral number 6620005, adjacent to the property situated at 5645 Hudson Avenue, owned by Mr. David Ohana and Mrs. Sabrina Hakim. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby accepts the offer to purchase agreement with the purchasers regarding the property, and this for the amount of $56 per square foot for a total of $69,560.40 plus applicable taxes, namely $79,977.07. That council hereby ratifies the city clerk's signature of the offer to purchase agreement with the purchasers. That the city clerk be authorized to sign on the city's behalf a notarial deed of sale incorporating the terms of the aforementioned offer to purchase agreements.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kuchowski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
This is pretty straightforward, a sale of a city lane between Hudson and in the back of Westminster.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
You
want to speak?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just want to speak to it. So I have some issues with this with regard to the property that it's adjacent to, because this is the property known as Rafi's former land. I guess, the land formerly on which Rafi Garage was situated. And I know from a city perspective, I mean, this is land that we want to redevelop. So I'm just a little uncomfortable with encroaching or reducing the potential size of that footprint. And I hope that I'm not making a mistake, but I'd rather err on the side of caution, and I'm going to vote against this because I feel that it's encroaching on a property that we want to be redeveloped. And so I don't understand why that property, in other words, the former land known as Rafi's, wouldn't exercise at least the possibility of acquiring that lane in order to expand that property. And I know the whole background, the whole history, and they need an encroachment agreement, or they need to legalize, not an encroachment agreement, they need to legalize their swimming pool. I understand all that, but I'm still going to vote against it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? No? So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried with Councilor Burku opposing. All right. And now we move to 10C. Yep, okay. I'll let our city clerk go ahead. Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Following the directions you read. Okay, that's good. Now we go to Public Works. Merci beaucoup. La prochaine is
Snow removal.
11A, Councilor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, should I read both resolutions? And then we'll vote on both at the same time, or do we?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll read the first and the second, and then we can discuss them. So the first one is regarding the Category 1. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a snow removal services contract with respect to Category 1 Main Streets to CMS Entrepreneurs Généraux, Inc. for the initial term of one season, namely 2025-26, for a guaranteed base volume of 160 centimeters of snow per season, plus an additional non-guaranteed amount of 60 centimeters to a maximum of 220 centimeters per snow season for the amount of $1,001,900 plus applicable taxes, and that the city's treasurer has issued Treasurer Certificate number 25-0126 on August 27th, 2025, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the aforementioned expenses, and that the city shall reserve its right in respect to the 4 optional snow seasons. And now I'll read the second resolution.
Okay, let's do one at a time.
Oh, do you want to do one at a time?
The next one's just let's do one at a time.
Okay, so we'll do one at a time.
So this one is, clarify what it is.
So-
Moved by Councilor Erdely, seconded by Councilor Burku, and explain it.
Maybe what I'll do, I'll put it on the big screen as well. It's not going to be so clear because but hopefully, maybe Director Levine could, yeah, perfect. So just to kind of orient everyone, sorry,
Go ahead,
fellow
listen to
councilors, everything
Councilor
okay?
Erdely, so we all know what we're doing.
So I'll just explain. So if everyone could see here, the streets that are in blue, and this also goes back to former Councilor Levine's question. So the streets that are in blue, these are part of our Category 1 or Contract 1. So you can see, for example, Cavendish, you have Mackle, you have Kildare, Guelph, Wavell, you have Côte Saint-Luc. So these are the main streets. So this was previously by the previous contractor, Canbec, will be done by the new contractor, CMS. We have I think I have a paper copy as well. There might be some paper copies in the back, but again, you can see it on the big screen. So this was previously done by Canbec. I'll just mention there were issues previously, and if I can give a personal example, in District 4, I know we got quite a few complaints along Côte Saint-Luc Road, and even just the little corner where the end of Côte Saint-Luc Road, sort of Smart, Arcadian, West Loop, where the bus route continues, and to the point where what we did have to do this past winter was have actually some of our city workers, and I know the mayor was instrumental in this, getting our city workers to kind of clean up some of the mess from the contractor. We're hoping with the new contractor CMS that I should mention, had used several years in the past. We had good feedback, and hopefully it'll be much improved. So again, that's the contract, which is the blue lines, is the first one. So we'll vote on, I guess, just to keep order, we'll vote on that one first.
So that's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now go to the second one.
All right, so just give me 1 second to flip to that page. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a snow removal services contract with respect to Category 2 dead end and parking lot to Construction JP Roy, Inc. for the initial term of 1 season, namely 2025-26, for a guaranteed base volume of 160 centimeters of snow per snow season, plus an additional non-guaranteed amount of 60 centimeters, up to a maximum of 220 centimeters per snow season, for the amount of $301,499.40 plus applicable taxes, and that treasurer certificate the city treasurer issued treasurer certificate number 25-0125 on August 27, 2025, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the aforementioned expenses, and that the city reserves its right in respect to the 4 optional snow seasons.
Okay, so this is the contracts for dead end and parking lots, moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku.
And
Any discussion on the dead ends and parking lots?
I'll just share my screen one more time. Hopefully, give me 1 second. So just to, and again, it's hard to see, but if you look on the map above, you'll see a few little red or pink dots. So those are the dead ends. So for example, in my district, in District 4, there's Small, there's Tyne, there's Bailey, Adalbert, Magnolia, West Luke, but throughout the city, there's several dead ends, plus some of the parking lots. So this is what we're calling our Category 2, which previously had been Category 3. So this is the second contract we're adopting tonight.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
I just want to add something here. When we had the reason we got here is because we had an issue with Canbec. And when it was recommended to us that we release Canbec of their contract or cancel their contract because they weren't in compliance with their contract, I have to say I and other councillors were questioning this because we knew that it was going to cost us more, right? And we knew this, but lucky for us, and thankfully, the staff did a really good job, and I have to thank them, for it, because the supplier got into such trouble that we know now that they wouldn't have been able even to fulfill the contract. So we're ahead of the game. We now have 2 good contractors. I know our Public Works Director is happy with the results, the purchasing's happy, and yes, it's going to cost us a little more, but now we're going to have first-class service. I'm convinced. And the in-house, which is taking over what we call the Category 2, are now going to be done by our Public Works Department. So overall, I think it's a very good result. And yes, it's costing us a little more, but the service is going to be first class.
That's the plan, that's the promise, and that's why we're doing it. We're doing it we're dividing it up 3 ways, it's to be very clear. 2 contractors and in-house service, and doing it that way, we always have, as former Councillor Levine asked, a backup plan, because we have a lot of people working to help us get the snow done. Last year, when we had the problems, I really had to push hard to get, and they were very accommodating, but I had to have our staff work overtime and do all kinds of things that the contractor should have done but did not do, so we did it ourselves. So now we're in a much better situation, and hopefully we'll have a good season. Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? No one's opposed, it's carried unanimously, and now we go to item B, renewal of the agreement for the snow dump, dumping in the snow dump.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves and adopts the letter of renewal agreement effective September 9, 2025, which renews the original agreement between the city and the town of Hampstead for the purpose of dumping snow as subsequently amended by the previous 12 renewals for the snow season 2025-26, and that the City of Côte Saint-Luc's General Council is hereby authorized to sign the aforesaid letter of renewal agreement on behalf of the city.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion? Councillor Cohen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in regard to the snow dump and Côte Saint-Luc on Marc Chagall Avenue and allowing Hampstead, I understand we want to be good neighbors and they don't have any other place to dump the snow, but we've incurred some very heavy snowstorms the last couple of years. It's like a European ski hill there, and at a certain point, we have to question whether we we want to do this. So I will vote against this once more because I don't think it's prudent for us to have more trucks going into the snow dump and more snow piling up on that hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Who's next?
Councillor Early wants.
Councillor Early wants to speak.
So just if I mention, and it's very rare that, Councillor Cohen and I don't vote the same way. I'll just mention a few points. One, that the town of Hampstead pays a fee for this. We also charge them a percentage of the cost in terms of upgrades that are done. So for example, we added a new gate, the town of Hampstead paid a portion of those costs. When we added access control as well, and they also pay a portion of the cost to level the snow at the end of the season. So they do cover some of those costs, and we also have a clause in the agreement that if it reaches a certain point, if there's a very heavy snowfalls or the snow level rises to a certain level, we are allowed to cut them off at that point. So that is also in the agreement, just to mention. Thank you.
Councillor Burku.
Yeah, I'd like to add, we have a chart that's very clear for everyone to see, that the base amount in 2021-22 was $23,433, which with the added extra charges that we put on them in 21-22 came out to $82,763. And that's increased over the years. It went from $82,763 to $82,623, and then in 23-24 to $62,000, and then in 24-25, $102,843. And our base now in 25-26 is going to increase to close to $40,000, which is clearly going to bring us close to or over the $100,000 from last year, because we always have these extra charges. So I think this is the prudent and responsible thing to do for the city. We need the revenue. We need the revenue, and so I'm definitely voting for it. And we can manage it. We've been managing it for, this is a contract that's going back to 2009 at least, maybe even before. So I think that that's the responsible thing to do. So I'm going to vote for it.
Thank you, Councillor Burku. Anyone else? No? Oh, sure. Okay, so what's that? Okay, so all in favor? All opposed? Who's opposed? So with Councillor Cohen dissenting, and it's carried. And Kachowski as well? Councillor Kachowski? Okay, all right. Okay, very good. And now we move on to the next item, which is recreation. I think it's a good moment for me to take a break, and I'll let you chair, and I'll be right back. Go to recreation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts bylaw 2633-2, entitled bylaw 2633-2, amending bylaw 2633 concerning recreation tariffs of the Côte Saint-Luc, of the City of Côte Saint-Luc for the fiscal year of 2025. The page is wrong in the amended agenda. but I think I got it okay. I'm on page 450 instead of 438.
Oh, okay. All those in favor of the recreation fees? Thank you, that's carried unanimously. Next item is,
Councillor Berkut, just a point of clarification. Actually, this is the waiving of a tariff. Because
Okay.
This is an amendment to our existing tariff bylaw,
okay,
where we're hopeful that we will be able to allow our tennis club players to play, and
it's to allow the 17 and under to play for free.
correct,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, well, they played for free for about 2 weeks, and hopefully they'll get to play again.
Exactly. So it might be a little trompeur to say a tariff because we're waiving the
Right,
tariff.
okay, so we're waiving the tariff.
Yeah.
And let's hope that we'll be able to play again. So that's item 12A. When we move on to item, just a moment. Hang on a second. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Okay, so we'll move on to item 13A, awarding of a contract for the renovation of the dugout at the Gary Carter baseball field. Councillor Lior Azarad.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract for the renovation of the dugouts at Gary Carter Baseball Field to Catalonia Construction for the total amount of $140,479.75 plus applicable taxes, that the city may consider an amount of 10% plus applicable taxes for any potential contingencies and extras, if required, that shall first be approved according to the city's procedures. The described expenses shall be financed from the city unrestricted surplus account. The Treasurer's Certificate number 25-0119 has been issued by the City Treasurer on August 26, 2025, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Thank you very much, Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Kujawski. All those in favor? It's adopted unanimously. Let's move on to the 14B, awarding of a contract for the resurfacing of some 13B for the resurfacing of some paths in Edward J. Kerwin Park. Councillor, who wants to do this? Councillor Azarad, go for it.
In honor of Sydney, who couldn't be here, I'll do it in French. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat à Lucio Storto Asphalt Inc. pour la surfaçage de quelques sentiers de parc Edward J. Kerwin pour un montant de 109 285, plus les taxes applicables. Que de plus, la ville peut envisager un montant de 10% plus les taxes applicables pour d'éventuelles contingences et extras si nécessaire, sous réserve d'une approbation préalable conformément aux procédures de la ville. Que les dépenses décrites seront financées à partir du règlement d'emprunt numéro 25-24. Que le certificat de trésorier numéro 25-0127 est émis le 29 août 2025 par le trésorier de la ville attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Okay, thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Kujawski. All those in favor? Any discussion? No? Okay, we're voting. Passed unanimously. Now, Councillor Kujawski, it's urban development. Item 14A, the request for an extension of the deadline prescribed under the Act respecting land use. Yeah, so that's you. Page 483. I'm not, 484. Yeah, might be a good idea.
Okay, whereas on January 16, 2025, bylaw RCG 14-029-7, amending the land use and development plan of the agglomeration of Montreal came into force, whereas the council of any municipality whose territory is included in that of the agglomeration of Montreal must, within 6 months following the coming into force of the amendment to the SAD, adopt all concordance bylaws in accordance with Section 58 of the Act respecting land use, planning, and development, the LAU, whereas the Minister of Municipal Affairs may extend at the request of the municipality a deadline or term prescribed by the LAU for the adoption of its concordance bylaws. If such deadline has not expired or such term has not been completed in accordance with Section 239 of the said Act, whereas the Municipal Council presented the first version of a new planning program and its bylaws on November 20th, 2024, for which public consultations were held in 2025, whereas the revision of the planning program and its bylaws has suffered delays, whereas preventing the city, from bringing them into force before the 6-month deadline provided for in Section 58 of the LAU, whereas the city of Côte Saint-Luc is actively working to bring its bylaws into concordance with the SAP of the agglomeration of Montreal. Be it resolved that Council requests the Minister of Municipal Affairs to grant it a 6-month extension until February 28, 2026 for the adoption of its concordance bylaws following the coming into force of bylaw RCG 14-029-7 in accordance with the provisions of Section 239 of the LAU.
Okay, Councillor, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Okay, so is there any discussion?
If I may,
Sure.
Madam Deputy Mayor,
Go ahead.
so I'll just refer everyone to the screen, so you can see, and actually here, I'll flip to the.
Yeah, this is a point of information,
Yeah.
mostly for the council.
No, hold on. So just if you see here, it's hard to see on the screen with the colors, but there's 3 zones that are in green. So you have here.
What is
just
the next one?
Just beside City Hall. Well, just let me finish. Just beside City Hall here, Ashland Gardens, here in Schuster Park and in Trudeau Park.
This one.
Yeah, so here you can see a bit better. So again, these 3, and there's some that are on the border just kind of beyond the outskirts of Côte Saint-Luc. So this is part of a project to delineate certain espace humide or wetland, milieu humide or wetlands. So this would have been part of our master plan, but since we were a bit delayed, we're requesting a 6-month extension until the master plan will be fully adopted, hopefully early in our next mandate. Thank you.
So maybe, yeah, I appreciate that very much because this is kind of something that we could share with the City of Montreal when they're planning all their byways and bridges and underpasses and overpasses, and then they profess to be the protectors of wetlands. Okay, so it's a digression, but still the point is made. All those in favor of this request for an extension of the deadline? Thank you very much. So item 14A is adopted unanimously. And now we go to Councillor Kajavsky again for the first draft resolution for Pepe Semois for the property on Hudson, childcare services and daycare services. Go ahead. Why?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Why?
Where's the resolutions? I was way past. Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Schuster. We only have it in French, is that correct? That's check. We only have it in French.
Do you need a paper version or?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Be it resolved that the Municipal Council adopt pursuant to bylaw number 2630, first draft resolution. I don't have a resolution number here. Draft resolution. Do we have a resolution number?
14B.
14B.
Apologies. Okay, so.
Oh, yeah, that's added by the city clerk. You don't have to worry
Okay,
about
so
that.
first draft resolution, pending number, to authorize a retail use specifically for a daycare service on lot 1052573, located at 5750 Hudson Avenue in the RU 42 zone, all as presented in the document submitted by Aaron Freed, Agape Alt Architect, SENC, and Group SBSE, and subject to the conditions set out in Annex A, a copy of which is attached hereto to form an integral part of this resolution, that any other regulatory provision not incompatible with this resolution shall apply, that the city clerk be delegated the authority to set the date, location, and time of the public consultation meeting, and for that purpose publish the required notices, that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the agglomeration of Montreal.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski and seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
So I know there are probably others who want to speak to it, but this is generally the first draft resolution to add a conditional use to the property located at 5750 Hudson Avenue to incorporate daycare use to that property.
Thank you.
And just a point of clarification for the city clerk, the transmission to the agglomeration is not to their elected officials, but to their administrative instance, because they have to adjudicate upon it.
Excellent. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? No one's opposed. It's carried unanimously. Very good. Thank you. Good, good. Next is the second draft reading will be on November the 24th. So now we go to item 14.1. Councilor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the installation of 2 new signs for STEP Medical Clinic on the 2 existing freestanding signs at the commercial building on lot 156-1095 and prepared by Sticky Media for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of August 12, 2025 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajewski, seconded by Councilor Azarad. Any discussion?
So it's pretty straightforward. It's 2 signs, one mounted on a concrete block, and another pedestal sign at the corner of Cavendish and Kildare.
Excellent. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to the next item. Right underneath.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a rear extension and facade modifications to the existing detached 2-family dwelling on lot 156-1095 and prepared by Oblique Architecture for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of August 12, 2025 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajewski, seconded by Councilor Azarad. Any discussion? That's the item we discussed earlier in the evening. So it's been moved and...
Yeah, I want to say
Go
something
ahead.
to this because this has been going on for years. And very pleased that at the end of this mandate that we finally resolved. We adopted 4 areas of the city, 4 zones where we could have conditional use. Then we agreed to the conditional use on Haywood. We agreed to the conditional use on Leger. Then we agreed to the conditional use on Bailey. And this brings it to the 4th one now on Parkhaven. I think it's a great achievement. Very, very proud of this council, and I think we just, we did something that we were talking about for many years before, and finally we figured out a way. And to tell you the truth, today I spoke to a councillor from Outremont who called me to find out how we are managing these non-conforming uses and how we're integrating them into into our zoning and into the way to make them more secure and regularized and legalized. And so I think we're showing a great example, and hopefully this is going to bear well for the future. But we have to be strict now. We have 4 zones. We have 4 places of worship that have been approved, will be approved tonight for conditional use. And I think the others are going to have to, get in line, because we can't, get in line in the sense that they're going to have to adjust to the new reality this is where we've drawn the line. So we have our work cut out, because we know that there are other non-conforming places of worship out there, and we'll have to deal with it accordingly.
And speaking to this institution, though, this particular one that we're approving today, as we just said earlier, it's been there for 25 years. It's if there's an article in the Suburban, they should show the facade, that it remains the same on the street as looking as a house and the back. You show a picture of that and you'll see the before and after. So before there were balconies and whatnot, making it more inconvenient to the neighbors. Now it's a closed wall. We've ensured that it's safe, that it has sprinkler systems and it's soundproofed walls. And it's done in a way that will minimize the inconvenience rather than increase something that's been there for 25 years. The situation has improved. It has not deteriorated. It has improved for the neighbors and it improved for the individuals who will be using it, the members. And there are ways to accommodate and enforce parking restrictions and also for neighbors to treat a religious institution in a different way now that it's legalized and has certain obligations to uphold like any other religious institution. They have to be good neighbors. And as such, now this institution is one of those neighbors in our city, as many others as exist as the four that Councillor Burku mentioned, as well as so many other religious institutions and other institutions, whether they're schools or daycares that exist in our city and have to accommodate the neighborhood. So I think this is a great achievement as well. And I think this particular one, if we use it as a model, just with the pictures and the fact that it's been there for so long and now it is legalized, you can see how it has been improved and will benefit, like I said, the neighbors and the members. Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just going to add to what the mayor mentioned in terms of safety. One of my concerns with some of the non-conforming synagogues for many years was with regard to safety. Can imagine if a building is built as a home, it's not necessarily designed for a synagogue, but my hope, and I'm happy to see with this renovation, it'll increase the number of emergency exit, access and egress. So God forbid there's an emergency, people can escape safely. And, we can know that we've done everything we can to ensure the safety of all our residents. Thank you.
Right, and the sprinkler systems. Okay, so it's,
Comment?
any other comment? Go ahead.
That's just, I think everyone covered pretty much everything I wanted to say. Just furthermore to the safety issue, it also will comply with building codes for a property that was originally maybe not designed to hold more than 50 or 100 people. It'll now have to comply with codes whereas before it didn't. So just further to what Councillor Ridley said, looking at the safety of our residents, as well as I remember reading or hearing about the Outremont situation back 7 or 8 years ago, even the first few months of my mandate. And we should be proud of what we've done, and we've worked with these community organizations as a council, and I think we've done very good things with regards to these first conditional use.
We're responding to a need in a responsible way. And when you say building codes, that means like the floors have to be strong enough, the walls have to be soundproof enough, so if there's stuff going on there that should be in the place, it should be safe, and it should be accommodating to the neighborhood. So I think it's, we've done a lot and we've come a long way. And this one, I think, if you see we saw the pictures before, and if you need access to those photos for the Suburban, please go ahead and take them, showing both the facade and the rear view. Okay, so it's been moved. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Azarad.
Real short, I think everything's been said, and I spoke to this in the past. I definitely think that we were able to get through this because lines of communications were open between residents and different institutions, as well as through the council. So I think that this proves that, there are issues that could be resolved. It just takes time, takes a bit of dialogue, and I think we could do it again. So that it's just to show that we can get through these difficult moments. We all just push and pull a bit towards the other person. So we have to give a bit, but we also have to be willing to understand what it is that the other people want from us. And I think that that's what really happened here, is both sides took the time to understand the other side's needs. Here with security and also safety, as well as the understanding of what neighbors needed from these institutions and still need. And I think it's important to continue to enforce that. So I think we did a great job here.
Councillor Schuster.
And just lastly, to speak to one of the residents' concerns before, that these now conforming institutions will have discrete signage So it's not a surprise when you move into the neighborhood of what's there, and it will integrate nicely, nice, discreet, classy signage that will integrate well.
Thank you. Good point. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? And no one's opposed. It's carried unanimously, and we move on to item 14.2, the minor exemption.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw number 2632, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5748 and 5750 Park Haven, lot 1053608, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request to allow the driveway to have a maximum total width of 9.5 meters instead of the maximum permitted driveway width of 6.4 meters is hereby refused. The request to allow the construction of a rear building extension with a minimum rear setback of 3.0 meters instead of the minimum required rear setback of 6.42 meters, and with a maximum land coverage of 43% instead of the maximum permitted land coverage of 40% is hereby approved. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 Annex B, Zone RB7 and Article 443.
Moved by Councilor Kachowski, seconded by Councilor Azarad. I guess it's the same discussion, so all in favor? Carried unanimously, and then we go on to 14.3, conditional use.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved to authorize the conditional use, quote, place of worship in the existing detached single-family dwelling located at 5748, 5750 Park Haven on lot 1053608 and pursuant to conditional uses bylaw number 2616, subject to the following conditions. The installation of a plaque-type sign not exceeding 0.12 meters squared in area, complying with the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 in force. Waste management must comply with the provisions of the applicable municipal bylaw 2537 regarding residual materials. The building must comply at all times with municipal fire safety standards, the National Fire Code, and the building bylaw in force. Noise levels must comply with the applicable municipal regulations. The use place of worship must be exercised in such a way that automobile traffic and street parking in the surrounding area is not significantly disrupted. Any further modification to the total floor area of the building following the construction of the rear extension project approved during the public council meeting of today will require a new conditional use application. This resolution shall become null and void in the event of a change of occupant, and a new conditional use application must then be submitted and approved by City Council.
Moved by Councilor Kachowski, seconded by Councilor Azarad. I think it's the same discussion, so all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to stance at the Aglo, Councilor Sabag.
Following stance, in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in October 2025 as follows, to authorize the mayor or...
No, we're talking about at the Aglo. Is there a meeting at the Aglo?
No, there's no meetings.
You never know.
Yeah, they're allowed to sit. Yeah.
Well, if you had a real emergency, like, something, in case there's an emergency, it doesn't hurt to have it. Thank you. So it's, in case there's an emergency and they need to have a meeting.
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to read it?
Sure, please.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of any possible agglomeration council meetings to be held in October 2025 as follows, to authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in October 2025 based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
So it's been moved by Councilor Sabag, seconded by Councilor Erdely, just in case there's an urgent need for a meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and hopefully we won't need that meeting, and it's just for ceremonial purposes. That's it. Any other business? Any second questions on the agenda items? Move for adjournment,
So moved.
Councilor.
So moved.
Councilor Spag, seconded by Councilor Schuster. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you all.